Okay, let's unpack this one. Today, we're doing a deep dive into just one story, but it's incredibly rich. It's from the Gospel of John, chapter 5, the healing of the paralytic at the pool of Bethesda.
Right, but we're zeroing in specifically on how that story is understood within the beautiful and deep tradition of the Ethiopian Orthodox Tewahedo Church.
Exactly.
So we've looked at source material that really explores this particular interpretation. We're pulling out the key details, the symbolism that makes it stand out.
And our mission here really is to get straight to the core of it for you, to pull out those essential insights about God's mercy, His grace, His healing power, all through this specific lens.
Yeah, basically helping you grasp the main message and why it's so significant without having to wade through everything yourself.
Think of us as your guides on this one, highlighting what really matters in this view.
Okay, let's jump in then.
So the scene, Bethesda. The sources paint this picture. It's quite poignant, actually. A place filled with hope, but also, a lot of suffering, lots of sick people gathered there.
It's a vivid image, isn't it? This place just defined by human longing for relief. And the belief around the pool was, powerful. The idea was an angel would come down, stir the water.
Right.
And the very first person who managed to get in after that stirring, they'd be healed.
And this tradition we're looking at, it emphasizes a specific detail the angel associated with this, St. Raphael. And his name, God heals. I mean, that alone feels significant, hearing it in this context.
Absolutely. And that detail, it's not just incidental. It points to a core belief in this tradition, that God in His mercy often works through His angels, even through creation, like the water here.
Using them as instruments for His healing and blessing.
Exactly. It shows God interacting with the world in various ways.
Okay, but here's where, for me, it got really interesting. The sources highlight the physical location, specifically how close Bethesda was to the sheep gate.
Ah, the sheep gate. Yes,
Yeah.
Seems like just another city gate, right?
Yeah.
But in this perspective, it carries huge symbolic weight. You have to think about what went through that gate historically.
The sheep for sacrifice.
Exactly. The blemish-free sheep specifically designated for the Old Testament temple sacrifices.
Okay, so you've got the gate for the sacrificial lambs right next to this pool where people are desperately hoping for healing through an angel.
Precisely. And this detail within the Ethiopian Orthodox view is seen as this beautiful foreshadowing. It points directly to Jesus Christ. He's understood as the ultimate spotless lamb. His perfect sacrifice pays the price, not just for sin, but for the suffering tied to it.
Wow, so it connects the Old Testament system right to Christ physically on the map almost.
Yes, it shows this continuous thread of salvation history woven right into the landscape. It's quite profound when you see it that way.
Okay, let's turn to the man himself, the central figure. The sources call him the Mitsagu, the paralytic.
And his situation, it's almost hard to fathom. The sources really emphasize the duration, not just the suffering, but the waiting. 38 years.
38 years. Just imagine the cycles of hope and then despair over nearly 4 decades.
It's immense. And his words to Jesus, that lament.
Sir, I have no man to put me into the pool when the water is stirred.
But while I'm coming, another steps down before me.
It's just such a raw, universal feeling, isn't it? Feeling alone, overlooked, like you just can't get the help you need.
It really captures that sense of being left behind. And this tradition adds another potential layer.
Right. The sources mention his long suffering might have been connected to sins from his youth.
Exactly. It brings in that spiritual dimension, which is often considered alongside physical illness in this perspective. It adds complexity.
Yet what struck me reading this was, despite 38 years of this, potentially having reasons for bitterness, his response to Jesus is described as, humble, polite.
It is significant. It suggests something about his character, maybe a remaining bit of faith or humility even after all that time.
And then the whole dynamic shifts dramatically.
Jesus approaches him. And the sources stress this point. In his divine wisdom, Christ already knew everything. The full 38 years, the depth of the despair, he knew it all.
You didn't need the backstory.
No, he saw it all. And then his question, it's so simple, almost jarring. Do you want to be made well?
And right after that, the command. So powerful. Rise, take up your bed and walk.
And what's fascinating here, and the sources really underline this, is how different Christ's healing method is from what everyone expected at the pool.
Totally different.
This healing doesn't rely on an angel stirring water. It doesn't depend on being the quickest or needing someone to carry you in.
No human effort involved in that way.
None. It comes purely directly, powerfully from his divine word, his authority. That's it.
He just bypasses the whole system that was set up there.
Precisely. And the source material emphasizes this man is healed by the creator of the angels, not by an angel, not by water, not by human striving. It fundamentally elevates the source of the power.
And the nature of the healing itself, it's instant.
Instant, complete. And crucially, thinking about the pool's rules, it was completely unmerited in that sense. He didn't follow the expected procedure to get healed.
Right. He didn't earn it by being first into the water.
Exactly. And that's a huge takeaway in this tradition's view. It's a powerful demonstration of God's grace just pouring out unexpectedly, unilaterally. It just transcends our human limits, our ideas about who deserves what based on effort or ritual.
But the story, as these sources present it, it doesn't stop right there with the physical healing. There's that follow-up instruction from Jesus.
Yes. See, you have been made well. Sin no more, lest a worse thing come upon you.
And this instruction is seen as absolutely vital in this perspective.
It really highlights what this tradition sees as a deep connection between that physical restoration he just received, his spiritual condition before God, and the boundless mercy that made it happen.
So what's the implication of that link then? It's clearly not just about the body getting fixed.
No, it's seen as integrating the whole person. It's a clear call to spiritual renewal, and it's also a serious warning.
A warning against falling back into old patterns of sin.
Right, because from this viewpoint, returning to those patterns could potentially lead to even further suffering, maybe something worse than the paralysis.
So this story, seen through this particular lens, it's pushing a completely holistic view of well-being. It suggests body and soul are equally important in God's eyes.
And that healing, physical healing, can be a pathway, an opening to a renewed spiritual life.
Okay, so let's try and pull these threads together.
Yeah.
Based just on this source material, the key takeaways.
Well, first, definitely God's boundless mercy and his grace showing up unexpectedly, bypassing all our human expectations and systems.
Then Christ's supreme authority. His word alone is the ultimate source of healing. It's above rituals, elements, even angels.
Can't forget the symbolism either. That sheep-gate connection is powerful, linking the sacrificial lambs to Christ, the ultimate lamb, seeing salvation history unfold.
Right. And finally, this tradition's deep understanding of the link between physical healing and the call to spiritual renewal, that holistic view.
Yeah. So if you connect this to the bigger picture, this story in the Ethiopian Orthodox Tewahedo tradition really stands as this powerful testament to Christ's, all-encompassing power and his deep compassion.
And it highlights the enduring strength of his word, how effective it is for both body and spirit.
And for you, listening, the story, viewed this way, it feels like a direct invitation, doesn't it?
An invitation to trust.
To trust in the Lord who knows exactly what you need even before you ask, who offers healing, offers a path to a truly renewed life.
And it's freely given by his grace, not something you have to earn through your own efforts or by following certain rules. So we've taken a deep dive today into just one narrative, but through a specific, really rich traditional lens, uncovering layers of meaning in the story of the paralytic Epithesta.
We've seen the symbolism of the sheep gate pointing to Christ, felt the weight of those 38 years of waiting, witnessed that stunning moment of divine command completely bypassing expectations.
And grappled with that call to connect physical healing with deep spiritual renewal.
So here's a final thought for you to maybe mull over, coming straight from the heart of this story and its interpretation in our source material. Given this perspective, we've explored the idea that suffering can sometimes be understood in connection with past actions, and that healing comes with this clear instruction to sin no more. How does this particular viewpoint challenge, or maybe affirm, your own understanding?
Yeah, how does it make you think about the relationship between your physical well-being, your spiritual state, and the nature of God's grace? Something to chew on.
Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.